In my free time, you won't always see me reading my friends' books or studying up on quantum politics. You might see me doing something that senators usually don't relate to, and that's vintage clothing shopping. Even though this coat that I picked up at Healing Appalachia is vintage, my values are far from it.
Wow.
Dare I say futuristic, even though sometimes I can be a bit bipartisan with my budget. Speaking of bipartisan, you know who isn't? Jack Squat. Jack Squat knows about as much as his name.
You're a hard-working West Virginian. You put in an 8 or 12-hour shift, pay your taxes, pay your dues. What more do they want from you? You have earned the right to not do anything. You know deep down your voice doesn't matter because whatever is going to happen will happen anyway. Que sera, sera. So why not party? Jack Doodly Squat knows you're better off drinking a cold one than participating in stupid, boring hippie politics. Because you know what? You might as well. Nothing's going to change anyway.
Paid for by someone or no one or whatever or blah blah blah.
I'm Jack Diddley Squad and I approve this message. Or not, whatever.
Hi, I'm Crystal Good, social media senator for the Digital District of West Virginia. I'm a liberal Republican, a conservative Democrat. I have libertarian tendencies, and I love me a good mountain party. I'm independent, but guess what? I vote. And I've been your social media senator now for, well, I don't even know who's counting anymore. But it's been tough, folks. We don't have the Wi-Fi together in West Virginia, but hold on. Help is on the way.
In August of 2024, the West Virginia Department of Economic Development, along with the Office of Broadband, announced a $1.2 billion in Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Funding, also known as BEAD. Under the 2021 Infrastructure Act, that old Infrastructure Act that old president signed that brought all kinds of money into West Virginia. But anyway, that old Infrastructure Act is dropping $1.2 billion in West Virginia so we can finally get high-speed internet into every hood, every holler, and every hill in West Virginia.
Can you imagine? Real Wi-Fi, which means connecting in the state is going to make my job a whole lot easier. No more relying on snail mail for your lovely letters. But this letter
From Miss Dorothea Mullet, let me tell you, she sent me a letter to tell me about the letter that she sent
to Governor Justice,
telling him about when on Memorial Day of this year, her and her family were not admitted into their family cemetery. They had already called ahead
for the right-of-way from the coal company and confirmed everything. But when the day came, they were not allowed in. And folks, this is not the first time that's happened. So it looks like, Big Jim is gonna do something about it. But folks, keep writing letters. Now, I do apologize if you haven't seen me on these interwebs much, but being an honest, made-up politician doesn't really pay the bill. I've had to take on a few other gigs, like starting a newspaper, selling t-shirts online, writing poetry, speaking at events, running a honey business, hustled vintage clothing, and just building a little black utopia in McDowell County. But I'm back and ready to reconnect. My office is partnered with Marshall University students to bring you some fresh and exciting content. We are Marshall. Woo! And you know what? West Virginia starts with we. Have you ever received a notification on your phone or laptop tablet from the news? Of course you have. But think about it. All day long, the news updates you get are pretty much the same thing from every news outlet. But what's happening in your local community? What's really happening? Who's your trusted local news source? Well, I might be a little bit partial, but I think you should check out Black by God. Because just like I know how to find a good swimming hole in West Virginia, I know how to find some good news. And let me tell you where it is at. West Virginia Watch, The Real West Virginia, Mountain State Spotlight, West Virginiaville. Oh! But just like I know how to find a good swimming hole, I know how to find a good news source. And in West Virginia, we have plenty of independent, local, nonprofit newsrooms. And I encourage you to follow Black by God, but also follow so many of those out there trying to bring good information to the people. Share your news with the community and the world. Have your voice heard on Black by God. And if you want to be a part of the change in news that is relevant, news that is accurate, news that is lovely, news that is wild and free, go to blackbygod.com and register to be a folk reporter and help us cover public meetings across West Virginia. We need citizen journalists to attend public service commissions, legislature, city council, dog catchers meeting. We don't care. We want to get you and your reporter notebook there. Folk reporters.